Hi, we believe that the way you move your body reflects the way that you move your mind, and that in turn reflects the outcomes that manifest themselves in your life. Which is why I say move your body, move your mind, move to success. Even Bruce Lee famously quoted, "We are always in the process of becoming, and nothing is fixed." Have no rigid system in you, and be flexible to change with the ever-changing. Flow in the total openness of the living moment. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will reveal themselves to you. Moving, be like water. Still, be like a mirror. Respond like an echo. In this video, I'm going to reveal the secrets of the martial arts and how they can reveal how the way your mind works. You're going to detect the fruits and flaws in your movement by seeing yourself move in the mirror. So you can change the way that you move to reprogram the way that you think to overcome the flaws in your thought processes. Watch this video all the way to the end to find out how this works and how this has helped students to transform their lives and reprogram that the way that they think and move and think to cultivate your self-mastery. My name is Lak Loi. I'm a third-generation instructor in Bruce Lee's martial art called Jeet Kune Do, Cantonese for Way of the Intercepting Fist. I'm also a self-mastery specialist, award-winning coach, and published author of the bestseller book, Master Your Life, 9 Steps to Self-Mastery inspired by Bruce Lee. That's why I call it the art of martial mind power. Our mission is to spread self-mastery to help raise human consciousness through the martial arts to make the world a better place to live in. For more information, join the digital dojo on martialmindpower.com, where you'll find the 9 Steps to Self-Mastery online video course, valuable book resources and materials to support your martial journey, martial arts classes to help you cultivate your inner Bruce Lee, martial WODs, which are workouts of the day, to help you cultivate martial fitness on a daily basis, and self-mastery teachings and martial mind power talks to cultivate your Zen warrior. Please go to the website after watching this video. Enjoy the journey. What we're going to do is going to start off with some footwork. So Sat, can I borrow you, please? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the mirror drill. I know you guys were playing around with the mirror drill earlier on. It's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start off with just maintaining fighting measure, okay? So fighting measure is, if we're facing off toe to toe, and I try and kick, if I'm toe poking him to get a shot on him, I'm probably going to damage my toes, right? So I'm kind of on just outside the brink of the fighting measure here. If I take a half a step, okay, and now kick, okay, now I'm kicking with the laces, I can go through that knee and do some serious damage, right? So they say, you know, a very simplistic explanation of the fight measure is a half a step to be able to use your longest weapon to the nearest target, which is longest weapon, that's my nearest target. Make sense? Okay, so this is the fight measure. So the idea when we work in the mirror drill is I want to stay on the brink or slightly outside the fight measure so that my opponent needs to step towards me in order to attack me. Okay? Yes?
But if it's much bigger, so it's longest weapon is...
Yeah, so I need to be further up.
So it is longest weapon a step further.
Yes. So I need to monitor my fighting measure. So I need to know where I need to be to get in. At the same time, I also need to stay outside his. Okay? So there's 2 fighting measures, always 2 fighting measures. His fight measure, my fight measure. That's a fantastic point that you made up, Marta, because some people just think there's 1 fighting measure for 2 people. It's not. His limbs are slightly longer than mine because he's taller than me, so he's going to have better reach. Okay? So a very good point. So, but you do need to know where your fighting measure is. At the same time, right, if I'm here, I'm going to be outside his fighting measure. So if you try and, right, so he's got toe poke there. Make sense? So he'll hurt his toes, he might annoy or maybe bruise the side of my knee, but he ain't going to break it. If he steps half an inch in or half a step in, well, that was a full step, he's going to definitely blow my knee out. Make sense? You get it? So it's the brink of the fight, staying outside the fight measure, half a step to strike your opponent is to get inside the fight measure, okay? All right, so we need to be clear. So the first thing we're going to do is just maintain fight measure. One person drives, the other person mirrors, okay? So I'm going to drive, so if I move left, he moves right. If I move right, he moves left. If I advance, he retreats. If I retreat, he advances. Make sense? If I angle this way, he's going to angle the other way. If I angle this way, he angles the other way. Make sense? So if you know how to angle, use that footwork, then do that. If I quick step left, he's going to quick step right. If I quick step right, he quick steps left. Make sense? So I'm just kind of throwing some different pieces of footwork in there. I'm not like particularly doing them at any speed, just so that he can mirror and keep up with me. All right? Then we get to the point where he's now comfortable keeping up with me. Then I got to start picking up the ante. All right? So I want to start picking up the speed and the tempo and the movement, and maybe even throw some broken rhythm in. All right? And see how he keeps up with that. Make sense? The idea is, if you can do that, then you can keep up with the opponent, and more importantly, also start to direct your own fight, because you want to be ahead of your opponent, right? So you catch up, you catch up with your opponent, and then you want to stay ahead of it, all right? Get ahead, stay ahead, all right? So the only way you can do that is, first of all, if you can actually mirror and keep up with your opponent. Got it? So the advanced students, I want you guys to work together, try and work a bit faster, introduce broken rhythm. For the intermediate and beginner students, I want you to work the mirror drill, but at kind of a work called videotape speed, just with rhythm. Okay, to start with, just with rhythm. Okay, got it? In order to mirror, one thing that you do need to do is make sure you got your phasic vision on, so that when I'm fighting, right, I'm looking at his midline, I can see everything. Because if I just concentrate on his feet, and this is a big no-no, right? I don't know what his hands are doing. If I concentrate on his hands, I don't know what his feet are doing, right? So I need to like focus on the visual focus principle, which is, imagine a line going through the nipple. You soften your eyes, widen your vision, widen your gaze, or your peripheral field, and you can see everything, right? And any twitch in his toe or his shoulder or anything will give me an indication that he's about to move, or he's moving, whether he's stationary or actually starts carrying distance. Make sense? So that's how you try to pick up the movement. So this is more about reading your opponent, and then about executing footwork to keep up with your opponent, first and foremost. Does that make sense? Okay? So I'm going to give you a minute, one person drive, and then I'll tell you to swap over the other person drive. Okay? Right, you both. And the idea this time is going to do the mirror drill, but no driver this time. Okay? So the idea is, if we could get inside the fight measure, each of this fight measure, then we're essentially committing to an attack. Okay? So we both want to stay on the brink, or slightly outside the brink of the fight measure. Okay? I'm going to move whichever way I want. He's going to move whichever way he wants. But you'll notice there'll be a slight tug of war, right? Okay? So this is what happens when you end up sparring. Okay? You'll end up with a situation where you got two people have free will in their movement, but at the same time you want to just be outside of it, just to be safe. If you come inside, you're committing to an attack, right? So if you do get inside, then you reset. Make sense? All right, so little demo. So again, we move. Yeah. Okay. See that? So that was a crash at the end. Yeah. Okay. So this is what happens when you're in a combat situation. Sometimes you both have intention to move, right? And bang. Okay. So, but in between, you notice there was a bit of a tug, right? There's a time where he was moving in and out, and I had to kind of adjust with him. There's a time when I was moving in and out, and he had to adjust with me. Make sense? All right. But that last one, we both decided to do that at the same time. Okay. It happens. It happens. So you try and read that. Okay. So all the elements were in that little demonstration. Both him pulling, right? Him pushing, me pulling, me pushing, and then both of us pushing at the same time. Right? Make sense? There were times when we were both pulling apart at the same time as well, and you notice the distance was widening. Okay? And you'll notice how when that happens, you're just wasting energy. You don't need to move. Right? But I know that we're not sparring, so we're not trying to be economical in our movement. We're trying to keep the movement up, but just stay on the outside or the brink of the fight measure. Okay? Just to keep up the footwork to maintain that buffer, that fight measure. Make sense? Right? So I'm going to give you guys a minute each way. Again, try and use the space. Be careful. There's a lot of people in the room. So also kind of be aware of who's around you. You don't trip over anybody. You're going to may end up in an environment where, if you are in a combat situation, that the other people in the room, there's furniture in the room, you don't want to trip over something, all right? Okay. If you're in the forest, there's going to be tree roots and so on coming out. Again, you don't want to trip over that. So again, treat this as a live environment where you've got obstacles, which happen to be people. All right? Make sense? Okay. You good? Simple. Very simple drill. The idea is you got two people, maintain fight measure, and they're going to aim to touch each other's knees. Okay. Just start with knees. I mean, you can go as far as touching ankles, touching knees, touching the hip, touching the elbow, touching the shoulder, right? But if you want to isolate it so that you have, in a way that you've got a targeted point on your opponent's body, you can just say, all right, we're going to just fixate on one spot, right? So what we'll do for this example is just work by tagging your opponent's knee. But the idea here would be then, you maintain fight measure, and when your opponent attacks, obviously is try and evade getting tagged, but at the same time you need to create the space to then enter the opponent's fight measure and getting low enough to then tag your opponent's knee. Make sense? All right? So these chaps are going to demonstrate how that's done, all right? Off you go. Okay, Angie. All right, you get the idea, right? So the idea, again, just aim for the knees for now, because otherwise you end up with a happy slappy situation where you just go bang, 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 yeah? All right? So aim for the knees. Again, with the knees, you've got to height adjust as well, okay? Or you hear, whichever way you look at it, you know, you need to work it, right? You've got to height adjust. Make sure you do a nice, clever squat, right? So you do yield at your knees so you can squat down. Just be mindful that when you're moving down into height adjust, you're not leading with your head. So avoid doing that in case you ding dong knock each other's head together, right? If you do, so be that a lesson to you, okay? All right. So find a new partner. Again, I'll give you a couple of minutes on that. I'll give you a minute, and then you work with a different partner for another minute. So. Okay. Our teachings, right? How movement translates to how physical movement translates to movement of the mind. Okay. We're going to do a little exercise to start with. Okay. So we've been working mirror drill, right? Now, if Sata stands in front of me, right, he's a reflection of who I am. Now, if I'm driving and he's a reflection of me, when I advance, he retreats. Okay. When I retreat, he advances. Right. When I go this way, he goes that way. When I go that way, he follows me. Right. So he's doing exactly what I do. Right. Now, what I want you guys to think about is the other person is a reflection of you. Okay. That person is a reflection of you. I want you to see all the things that you're doing badly. Okay. I want you to see all the things that you're doing good, doing well. Okay. Right. Now, I'm not talking about martial movement. Okay. Because that's going to be an implicit part of this movement anyway. Because as you move, you're going to do that. But I want you to think about, as you're moving, as I'm moving left, what is it that I'm not doing well? What is it that I'm reflecting in me that I could do better? Okay? Make sense? And I want you to just become aware of those elements. Okay? Do you get angry quickly? Do you have trigger points? Do somebody press those buttons? What is it? Right? Can you be more confident in a certain situation? Right? Am I not doing that? What is it that I'm doing that's making me not stand in my highest light? Not allowing me not to stand in my highest power. Make sense? I want you to just become aware as you see your own reflection in movement, right? And as I move, because as I move, right? If I move like clunky, right? I want to know that somewhere in me, there's no fluidity. Where am I rigid? Am I rigid with somebody at work or in a relationship, right? Am I stubborn? Can I be more fluid? How can I be more fluid? Okay. Right? And then I can start moving. And I want you to start ironing out, yeah? I want you to start ironing out. But the first thing is, in your natural movement that comes to you, as your opponent reflects that, right? And his job or her job is to reflect that the best they can. Don't go too fast. Go medium speed, a videotape speed, right? But as you see that reflection in you, because your mirror reflection is showing you where your shortfall is. Like I said, if you're clunky in your movement, why are you robotized? Why are you mechanical? Right? And then I want you to pick that element in your life, what it is. Yeah, like I gave you some examples already, right? And then I want you to change your movement, right? If you are rigid, I want you to be fluid, right? If you're thinking too much, I want you to stop thinking too much, because you won't move as much if you're thinking too much. Make sense? Right? And I want you to start changing the movement to change the pattern of your mind. Make sense? So that's how you recode your mind through martial movement, right? And that's how you recode your mind, right? By changing your reflection, by changing the outcome that's sitting right in front of you. Got it? I want to give you guys 3 minutes each way on this, because this is a very introspective exercise. You don't need to communicate that to anybody other than keep it to yourself. When you get your insights, if at the end of the class you share them, that'll be valuable, because at least it will show how you maybe moved through that, picked up your lessons and transformed that. And did you do it? How did you do it? What kind of tools did you use? How did you change your movement? What happened? Yeah, make sense? But it can be anything. It can be any facet of your life. If you've got an issue in your life, how is that reflecting in your movement? And is that your natural movement? Because if it isn't, why are you not moving naturally? Right? So slight of a thinking exercise, but your awareness is going to come through your reflection. Make sense? Okay? And if there is a problem, you can see how that manifests in the way you move through your reflection. Got it? Like looking in the mirror. This is a mirror drill after all. Got it? Okay? So, go!
It was quite tunnel vision, a bit focused on the area that we're in rather than exploring the whole room. And then it was more about kind of getting more fluidity, because I'm thinking about every step I'm taking rather than just going with it.
Right. I was trying to be a bit too fluid, so I was a bit flippy floppy rather than firm hand movements.
Yeah. Okay. So flippy floppy, very fluid.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did that tell you about yourself?
Well, I'm a bit flippy floppy person.
And what about did you get any learnings, like reflection on how that reflects in your life?
I suppose I'm quite sort of chilled and whatever. So that's what, yeah, flippy floppy.
Yeah. So is that good? Works for you?
Works for me, yeah.
So this is thank you. This is not a negative feedback. This is just a reflection of how you move, and how you move is how your mind works, right? If you tend to be, if you're upset about something or depressed about something, you tend to have a negative body language, right? It's a natural physiological effect of being low or being down. It's very easy to see that, right? People can also sense an energy about you. It's very low, or that people refer to as a negative energy about you, right? But when you're happy and you're confident, you tend to be chest up, tend to look up a bit more, all right? So your physiology is already telling you how good state your mind is, whether it's just a mental state or an emotional state.
On the mirror side, what I was actually doing was trying to connect reality. So, and excuse me, some of you guys, because I actually, on purpose, turned him around, going backwards into someone, so he could bump into someone and realize, hey, you're not alone, and stop thinking, because I could see he was thinking constantly. Okay. So I was like a couple bumps, and after the third bump, he got it, and then he wasn't going there. He wasn't going there anymore.
So, thank you, Gonzalo. So the beauty in that is you coached that out of him. So you could see that he was holding back on something, or there was a certain expression in his movement, but he wasn't aware of it, and you thought, all right, I can drive this out of him by making him aware of it, and use your tunnel vision disadvantage and force you to walk into somebody that made you widen your gaze, widen your awareness, think, oh, hold on a minute, I was completely in a different world there, right? And that helped you realize that. Does that make sense? Luigi?
Basically, what I want to say is that if you try to copy someone in front of you, you need to let yourself go. And also, you shouldn't judge what you're watching. You should be just embracing it as it is.
Yeah.
Only then, I think you can be that. Right? I know it's a little weird to say.
So what you're saying is you don't want to be that martyr.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, because I think you're so attached to yourself.
Yeah.
And to your routine and your way you move, your way you think, that when you someone asks you, can you move like her or him? You're like, well, I'm myself, why should I move that way? And you start judging it at the beginning, but then as soon as you let that idea go and you just embrace it as it is, then you just become that.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed watching that video, and I hope it gave you some valuable insights into how to be like a mirror, to help reveal how your mind works, so you can cultivate your self-mastery. Remember, self-mastery is a constant state of practice, so go away and start working on it now, and come back for more self-mastery videos right here on this channel. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and kindly share the link with your family, friends and loved ones over social media, email, text, phone, and more importantly, when in person when you're talking with them. Thank you for watching once again, and remember to check out and join the Digital Dojo on martialmindpower.com. Peace and respect.